How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today we're going to be talking about 5 primary reasons that I've seen as to why people don't like Winona, the new Don't Starve Together exclusive character recently released by Clay Entertainment. So this list comes about from compiled notes after reading threads and Reddit posts about this character for a few hours at this point. The list order goes from most important to least important as I saw these issues being raised. So issues that were mentioned more frequently will be towards the start of this list, and the ones that have been mentioned much less will be at the end. This list is obviously not the be-all and end-all word on this topic. It's possible that I might have missed some important points raised by certain members that were less prominent. So if I don't mention something that you didn't like about the character, feel free to mention it in the comment section below. Okay, let's get started. First, Mending Tape is not different or strong enough to matter in the game. So Mending Tape is a unique item that Winona has access to, that she can craft, a bit like the Battle Helm. It's basically a cheaper sewing kit, and it's also much easier to store due to how it stacks. And that is a positive, but it's only a positive for the beginning of the game. Unfortunately, the overall impact that this has in the game is pretty negligible once you move past the beginning of the game. Quite frequently, I've seen it suggested that the utility of the Mending Tape be changed to allow for the repair of everything that has durability, or at the very least, tools and weapons, in addition to the clothing that a regular sewing kit would repair, and by way of that, the Mending Tape repairs as well. Number 2, Winona's traits are geared towards new players and the early game. Being hit by Charlie isn't a concern of most experienced players, and since it's not possible to chop trees or mine stone at night anymore and Don't Starve Together, there is really no potential early game min-max strategies that can be used here, since one of Winona's perks is that she's immune to the first attack by Charlie. And while the Mending Tape is of course cheaper, this is largely insignificant in the middle to late game when resources needed to make sewing kits are now abundant. This really leaves only her double crafting speed as the perk that truly carries into the late game, and it shaves 500 milliseconds off of anything you craft. So as you can see, Winona has a lot of early game perks that are geared towards less experienced players who might get hit by Charlie when they get caught out at night unprepared, and really only the double crafting speed is carried on into the late game. And shaving 500 milliseconds off your crafting speed really isn't anything to write home about either, even given the fact that it does carry into the late game and probably would benefit anybody who is truly focused on base building. Number 3, she doesn't synergize very well with other Don't Starve Together characters. Despite being the first Don't Starve Together exclusive character, Winona doesn't play better when paired with another character, for example, the synergy between WX and Wickerbottom. Number 4, Winona is Wilson 2.0. Much like Wilson, Winona has no negative traits, much to the displeasure of the min-maxer crowd, who prefer characters with strong positive and negative perks versus a character with mediocre perks which hardly influence the gameplay, as mentioned before. While there is some heated debate as to whether Wilson is better than Winona, or vice versa, it's quite clear that at this point she is regulated to the same tier of characters in terms of usefulness. Lastly, she's not a waifu, so as a haggard factory worker, Winona's rugged and can-do attitude, at times emulating the Rosie the Riveter wartime poster, has resulted in a mild backlash, with some accusing Clay of being PC, calling Winona a lesbian, or even the dreaded F-word. Clearly, her unconventional appearance in contrast to the majority of other female characters in Don't Starve was met with a lukewarm response from some of those who are more invested in shipping fanfic communities. So that's the list that I've compiled. In my opinion, this list covers the most vocalized complaints about Winona as a character. But once again, if you had any concerns or complaints about the character, which were not listed here, feel free to mention it in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time.